in disguise that makes it hard to do. There we go. All right. So, I first wore this mask probably 20 years ago, and I thought I had reached my true self. I did a dance at a Unitarian church, and halfway through my performance, I slapped the mask on, danced through the crowd, and I was launched into a new me. Finding your true self, I think that my parents, my mother, my father, really imprinted on me. Particularly my father. Let me see how loud I can talk. But my father was a very difficult man, and he died in 2010 at 81 after alienating every single person in his life. He was angry, he had these outbursts, he cheated on my mother. It was quite difficult. And I want to tell you a story about a man who looks like my father and looks like his mother. It was Mayfire, about 6 years ago. Vegas Vortex has 2 events in a year where you dance all night around a fire. So I wanted to go, I got up my courage and I went, and I noticed right away this man dancing around the fire, and he had a full face mask and a body wrap and these pantaloons that wrapped around in more ways than I could imagine how you could wrap. And he leaped and danced, and I thought, wow, okay. So I noticed that, and the next day, and the next couple of days after I'd get up in the afternoon after being at the fire all night, I noticed this cocoon. And it was like this mummy wrapped on this spider silk stretched across the shelter. Well, about by the 3rd day, somebody popped out of it in the middle of the afternoon, and I happened to see him, and he had this white hair and these blue sleepy eyes that were really big, and it was love at first sight for me. So I stalked him. I found out he was a crystal bowl player, he played gongs, he did healing performances, and I went. And I was in a crush high. I laid down on my little mat, and it was mostly women, and I covered up with my little blanket, and I listened to his feet pat around me, and I heard him play the gongs and the bowls, and it was very nice. So afterwards, I helped him pack his belongings together. Well, fast forward to the 2nd event of the year. It's a one-night fire, and about 10 days before that, I was at the Beat Coffee House doing an open mic poetry reading. And it's dark in there, and it's very crowded. You can barely get to your seat and up. And I notice over by the bar in the corner, this white hair frame, beaming soul beaming at me. And I'm looking through the evening, and just like now, no glasses. I'm like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that beaming, just beaming. Well, it was the healing man from Mayfire, and he asked me to the Halloween parade. So we get to the parade, and I'm in this mask, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, this is Jumpy Dancing Magic Man, because he had on one of those masks that I recognized from Mayfire. And we spent a very intense 11 days together, though at the end of that bone dance, which was one night, he was off holding hands with someone else. And she's married, and he was inviting her, and she was inviting him to get together. Now, I hadn't really learned very well, but we lost physical touch. I could see him on Facebook. He was from out of town and only came in for these events. And I, at some point, found out that my dear friend who'd become my housekeeper had slept with him. And I was a little shocked and very angry about this. There was some kind of a code about not sleeping with your girlfriend's boyfriend that maybe is only my code, but I thought it was a thing. But as we had talked, and it had been over a year or two since it happened with her, that I realized I had feelings for him, and we got in touch, and he came out and invited me to a festival, and we went, and then he ignored me. And I thought, this is interesting. And though we were there, and I wanted to go on Facebook, I saw these marvelous festivals. I thought, gee, I'd really like to go, and then I thought, this is really interesting. And he was very angry, and all these things were happening, and we left the festival and got back to where he stayed in the house behind a home of some friends of his, and he said, wow, I wanted to grow up and be a grumpy old man. And I said, well, looks like you got that goal. I was like, well, I just didn't know what to say after that, so I didn't say anything. So we were at the airport saying goodbye, and I said, I felt bad about being ignored. Wasn't so happy about that. I expressed that I loved him, though it was kind of dampened by this experience, these 5 days. And when he came back this year, I had just gotten an email from the girl organizing the crew at that festival, inviting me back to be on the crew, and immediately got a second email saying, oops, sorry, I didn't realize who this was. I didn't mean to invite you back. So in my honesty, and he asked me out to dinner, I didn't really want to go, but it's that dad thing, you kind of just sometimes follow. I'm not quite sure what it was, because I looked at that phone and I did not want to go on that date. But I said, oh, I got a message from Lisa, and I just explained that to him, and he's all of a sudden like, he doesn't know who Lisa is and all this stuff. So, sometimes, and I think about my dad still, and when I think about my lack of social skills, and especially around relationships, but I think about the disguises we wear when we meet someone and when we leave someone. And I'm sure that at some point, knowing myself, my true self, I'll be able to break out of that karma. Thank you.